Hi guys, and welcome to another video. So in today's video I'm pretty much going to do a review of Sunderland's transfer window. So what I will begin with is our incomings, the players that we have brought in, and I will individually give a rating to how good I believe that signing is and how good I think it could be in the future. And we'll also discuss the outgoings briefly, and then I'll give you my sort of conclusion and round off our transfer window as a whole. So we'll get straight into it. And first and foremost, we have Lee Burge, who we brought in from Coventry on a free. Now, obviously, he was brought in as backup to John McLaughlin, Big John. And I don't think you could get much better, really, because we've got Coventry's number one. And every time we've seen him, be it pre-season or in cup games, he's been absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to give him a solid 8 out of 10 because just for the role that he's been brought in for, I think he's absolutely ideal. And like I say, he hasn't put a foot wrong when we have seen him play at all. So I think that's a really, really good piece of business. And it's good competition for John McLaughlin as well, who is going to have an off day every now and then. And it's good to give Big John competition. Like I say, it's really, really important competition these days in football anyway, so you couldn't do much better than that. But next up we have Jordan Willis, a player who, you know, I've made it known I'm a big fan of. We needed some pace in the centre of defence, a bit of strength as well, and he's fantastic at covering. We have seen that, and it just adds a little bit of class to the centre of our defence. So as a fan of Jordan Willis, I have also given him an 8 out of 10. Now on to another centre-back. We have Joel Lynch, who we brought in on a free. We haven't seen much of him. I do know he's very aggressive. He's almost the replacement for Louvens. He was just the sort of experienced backup. But with Lynch, I do imagine he will get some game time. He will get quite a bit of first-team action once he does get back to full fitness, as he has missed a large chunk of pre-season as he did. He was released from QPR last year. But, you know, I've given him a 6 out of 10 because obviously we haven't seen too much of him. Well, we haven't seen anything of him as of yet. But to add a bit of experience to competition, the role that he's been brought in for, I don't think it's a poor signing. Don't think it's amazing, but it fills the gap that Louvens left. And Louvens was, you know, he was terrible every time he played anyway. He become somewhat of a meme, didn't he? But Lynch, he will play games, I would imagine. And I'm excited to see him play. I'm quite excited for that. But next up, another defender. We do have Conor McLaughlin, the right back, who has been playing at left back recently to cover that position where we have been lacking. And in all honesty, I think he looks terrible. I think he looks absolutely terrible. He looks a little bit more comfortable on the right-hand side where we have seen him. He played there against Burnley and he had an okay game. But I just think it is his awareness, his positional awareness looks a little bit messy. I think he's touching the ball and he's passing, he gives it away far too. I'd rather a player who, you know, defensively anyway, if you've got your tackling down to a T and what have you, I don't mind if you just hoof the ball. Of course, it's a bonus if you got a ball playing defender, but I'd rather you just hoof the ball away because that man doesn't seem to be able to complete a pass, unfortunately. And of course, it's only very early days. But from what I've seen so far and the feeling I'm getting around Conor McLaughlin, I've given him a 4 out of 10 because I believe he's pretty bad in all honesty. But hopefully he does prove me wrong, and as the season does go on, he goes on to improve his form. Next up, we have another defender, a left back in which we brought in on transfer deadline day, and that is Laurens de Bock, who has had nothing but negative reviews from Leeds fans. And not the greatest of reviews from Belgium, either. But you know, he hasn't pulled the shirt on for us yet. A bit similar to Lynch, we can't really rate him because we haven't really seen much of him. But I think the good thing, and what I will rate this on, is the business in general, because we did desperately need a natural left back, and that's exactly what he is. So I'm going to give the signing of Laurens de Bock a 6 out of 10 because we needed it. Okay, so now moving up the field a little bit, we have George Dobson, who, you know, I think you guys and I have said in videos before, I rate this lad so highly, and we saw against the likes of Burnley how good he can be. He dominated that midfield in there with McGeoch, and this lad needs more game time. He needs more game time, and it's exactly what we need in midfield as well. I hope Jack Ross does start to give him a lot more first team football because the lad, he needs it, and he's a cracking player, and I believe he will prove that because I put a lot of faith in him before we signed him, and I was saying when we were rumoured to have signed him, I was saying how good the player is, and he really is a cracker. He's an absolute cracker of a player. So I have given that a 9 out of 10. Not necessarily the performances we've seen so far, but because I know how good he can be, and if he's utilised properly, we've got ourselves a brilliant, brilliant player on our hands. Now, last but not least, we have Mark McNulty, who has been brought in on loan, and he did pick up a little bit of a knock, which put him out for a couple of games. But we needed a player who can press the back line, because all we had last season we had Grigg, or the back end. Of course, we had Madger originally, but I'm only comparing towards the squad in which we had at the back end of last season when the season finished. And we had White, we had Grigg, and we had Kaz Sterling as well. So we had 3 different players there. Of course, we had Sterling who had that little bit of pace. We've eradicated that because now we don't have that pacey player who gets in behind, but what we do have is someone who presses the back line. He can be such a nuisance, and I suppose he can get in behind. I would have liked to have seen us bring in a bit more pace, which we'll get onto later on. But Mark McNulty is definitely the kind of striker that I do believe that we needed. So I've given him a 7 out of 10, and I do think that given time, and first team football, of course, alongside White, I think that them two have potential to build a very, very good partnership up top. So if we recap, I've given Lee Burge an 8 out of 10, Jordan Willis an 8 out of 10, Joel Lynch a 6 out of 10, Lawrence de Bock a 6 out of 10, Conor McLaughlin a 4 out of 10, George Dobson a 9 out of 10, and Mark McNulty a 7 out of 10. Now, in terms of outgoings, there is quite the list. We have Kone, who finalised his deal away, which I think is fantastic because we needed his wage off the books, so that's brilliant. George Honeyman, he of course left to Hull, which, I would have said it was good business if we replaced him with another attacking midfielder, but we haven't, so now it doesn't look great, if you know what I mean. So Honeyman, I was quite happy to see him go. He did get stick last year. I loved his work rate and what have you, but I do believe we needed a bit more pace and creativity in the role that he was playing, and we haven't replaced him, really, which is a blow. It really is a blow, and it's pretty shit, really. Reuter as well. He's left and gone back to the Netherlands, which is actually playing quite a bit of first team football, and he seems to be doing quite well over there. But yeah, I really liked him. But as a person, he had his downs with us in the Championship season. But he had to go. I would think his wages were a bit more than what he was earning, or what he should be earning, given he was only really second string goalkeeper. But Oviedo as well, of course, we loved Oviedo. I think he was a very, very good player. He was a class above League One, of course, but again, it's a player whose wages were absolutely colossal and far too big to withstand League One. Stryjek, who was a keeper who we had a little bit of, we thought he was an upcoming keeper. He didn't really get a shot, but he has left, and we have replaced him, with Lee Burge. So I'm more than happy with that. So we have Love as well, who was just, again, he was probably the biggest meme in the Sunderland team, wasn't he? But he was poor. He was a shocking player. I love the guy, but he was just shocking. And next up, the biggest heartbreak out of the lot is Lee Catamol, who, it does hurt still talking about it. He doesn't play for us. He's gone to the Netherlands himself, and it just looks weird in a kit that isn't Sunderland. But he is a massive, massive miss. Who, I suppose we have Dobson. It's almost like a younger central midfielder, a more industrial type player. And is it a straight up replacement with Catamol? Not really. I don't think so. But it's another player who had a massive, massive wage for League One. So. Is it a good piece of business? I think financially for the club, yes. But is he going to be a massive miss? Of course he is. A huge, huge miss. Reece James. Now, this is one of the worst pieces of business we've done. Reece James, of course, last season, I preferred him at times to Oviedo because I think he was such a solid left back. Yeah, he had the mistake in him, but he was so solid. He has the experience, and we sold him directly to a rival in Doncaster. So I think that's a shame, because I think Reece James and Denver Hume, that would be a decent little competition on the left-hand side. And now I feel like we've weakened quite considerably on the left-hand side of defence. But again, I'll talk about that towards the end of the video. Louvens, I'm more than happy for him to leave, because he didn't really do anything for us. And when he did, he was either getting sent off or making horrendous mistakes. He was long gone. And Adam Matthews as well left the club. It's another player who I've never really massively rated. He never hit the ground running for us. And again, it's a player who's probably on a big wage for League One. And then we have the two loan signings that have recently left the club on deadline day, and that is Ethan Robson and Baldwin. Ethan Robson I can understand. Baldwin, I'm a bit miffed with that. I don't understand why we'd let Jack Baldwin go, as I've mentioned, and I won't go into too much detail, but I do prefer Baldwin to Flanagan. So I would have preferred to see Flanagan go, but hey ho, that's it. So as a whole, I think the biggest thing from this transfer window that a lot of people are talking about across social media and what have you is, do we have a weaker squad than last year? Now, I'll go through positions. I think goalkeepers were stronger. I think we're stronger because I think Burge is better than Reuter, who was our backup goalkeeper before. So I think we're stronger in the goalkeeping department. I think in the centre of defence, I think we're stronger because I think Ozturk's coming into his own now. I know we did have him last year, but he's coming into his own. Willis, I think, is one of the best defenders we've had over the last couple of years. Maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but I'd just rate him very highly. And I do think he improves that centre of defence massively in something we haven't had, a bit of pace and strength. Yes, he's not the tallest, he doesn't win everything in the air, but he covers very well. And I think generally, on the whole, we have improved in the centre of defence. Now, on the left of defence, as I mentioned before, I think we've gone downhill big time. I think, obviously, from going with, we had Oviedo, we had Reece James, we had Denver Hume, and now we've gone to Lawrence de Bock and Denver Hume. It's not great, is it? It's not. I feel like that left-hand side of defence has dropped considerably. Now, the right-hand side, of course, we had Donald Love, we had Matthews who could play there, we had O'Nien who was keeping the likes of Matthews out of there, whereas now we have Conor McLaughlin and we have O'Nien as well. So, is it weaker? I'd probably say just shaded weaker, yes, because Conor McLaughlin I don't really rate, and Matthews, who I didn't really rate either. I just probably think Matthews is better than McLaughlin. So far, we've got the left and right back positions, I believe, are weaker than last season, but I think that goalkeepers and the centre of defence are stronger. Now, in the centre of midfield, it's a hard one to judge, really, because I think the only real loss of the midfield was, of course, Lee Catamol. I know Honeyman plays more of an attacking central midfield, but we'll go with just Catamol. And of course, we brought Dobson in as well, so it's hard to weigh up because they are different players. But I'd say we're probably about even there. Of course, Catamol is a huge loss and I rate him massively, but I also rate Dobson massively. So in the centre of midfield, I'd probably say we're around the same, but I would probably prefer Catamol in there. So I'd say we haven't really moved in terms of quality in the centre of midfield. Now, on the wings, I just don't think, well, we haven't added and we haven't necessarily lost either, but that is something that we desperately needed to add to. We needed that pace, we needed that creativity, and we haven't added to it, which I suppose covers the centre attacking midfield as well, the number 10 sort of role. We haven't improved on that, and we really needed to. We needed to massively. We lack pace across the pitch. We needed that bit of creativity. Of course, we were linked with Marcus Maddison. He would have been ideal, but it didn't happen, and I'm not going to linger on that. But a player like that, a player with that calibre, was something we definitely needed, because the second Gooch goes through his bad patches of form, which he does every year, and then if McGeady has an off day or he gets injured, we're screwed in that final third. Absolutely screwed. We look lost. When McGeady has a bad day, we look lost. If both of them have a bad day, then we are entirely screwed, because we have very similar central midfielders that are quite defensive, very defensive minded. So we need the wingers to push us up, because the centre of midfield, they're not doing that for us right now. So when they're not on form, we're not even getting into the final third, if you know what I mean. So up top, I believe we're probably just about the same, I would say. In fact, even a marginal improvement, because I think White looks a lot better this year. I know it's the same play we still had last year, but he looks better, he looks more confident, and I prefer McNulty to Sterling, who didn't really get much of a chance, though, when he did come in last season. And again, it's another area in which I do believe we needed to add a bit more pace to get in behind. So I think, really, this transfer window, we're missing maybe another striker and a winger, or if you look at it the other way, or number 10 and a winger. We just needed pace and creativity. I think we're short of a couple of players, really, to really go for the title right now, and it is a relatively disappointing window. I think we've brought in some good additions, but I think it would have been a great window had we brought in a number 10 and a striker, or a winger and a striker. But that's it. So all in all, I'll probably give the window a relatively underwhelming 5 or a 6 out of 10, which I did mention in the previous video as well. But we have brought in some decent players, and hopefully we do improve in January as well. A lot of people, their heads dropped. A lot of Sunderland fans' heads dropped across social media after the transfer deadline day. And all I can say, just stick with the team. Yes, the last time out, I think everyone's lingering, including myself. We're lingering a little bit on the last result against Peterborough. But, you know, we'll use this break to just calm down, chill out, and then we get back to it against Aki Stanley, and hopefully we can just get back to winning ways, and then everything will look rosy again. Fingers crossed. But anyway, that is me, guys. If you have enjoyed the video, please hit the like button for me. It would be massively, massively appreciated. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already to become a fully fledged member of the Sassy Army. But for now, you take care and stay jamming.